It's video time. And it's also beer time. Wow. Is it really 4:15? Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? I've been reading Jordan Peterson's Maps of Meaning, which, as it suggests, he's mapping out human meaning. And of course it's very complex, as you would expect for a time-served psychoanalyst and university lecturer in psychology. So it's a good read. It's going to take some time because there's a lot to be assimilated. But fortunately, I'm pretty versed in what he's speaking about, and I'm also pretty versed in the people whom he mentions. He mentions Jung a lot, he mentions Nietzsche, he mentions Alexander Solzhenitsyn, he mentions Viktor Frankl, I think his name is, the guy that survived the concentration camps. He speaks about all these people, and I've read all their books, and so I'm pretty versed in it, and it's going to be interesting to see if I glean anything out of it other than what I've heard him speak about in hundreds of his videos. So I've just been reading comments, and of course there's not that many comments, is there, of any substance, and so the ones who I've been reading, you know who I'm speaking about. And there was one comment which was the most poignant, and this is what I think is at the root of lots of people's bones of contention. When anybody has an issue with me, I give them the opportunity to air that by giving them license. And the license for their disappointment to be projected onto me is if they feel as if they're being attacked by me. Now, of course, whatever I say in my videos isn't a personal attack. It's not even really attack. It's just kind of like I'm fishing, and if there's anything out there that wants to take the bait, then they take the bait. And then I'll reel them in, and I'll see what I've got on the end of the line. And, you know, that's basically what happens every time I change the goalposts. You see, people have this perplexion whereby they are looking for somebody and something to serve them. They may not know what it is that they need servicing. They will intuit. And so when people come upon my videos, often people don't really know why they are watching, because lots of the things they don't grasp, they can't comprehend. It takes a long time for people to get into the grooves of my videos, because it's just like picking up a book, turning to a page. Well, you've got to get the context, you've got to get the grounding, and this takes a lot of time. And even with the people who have a lot of context, they still struggle greatly with making head or tail of what I'm getting at. But you see, what I do, I move goalposts all the time. And when I move goalposts, I invariably upset some people, particularly the Jesus variety of person. You'll have seen them in the comments. They've always got a Jesus thing in their name. Follow Jesus, worship Jesus, Jesus is Lord. And I just go, oh Lord, when I see that, because I know what's coming. Now, what attracts these people is when I put videos up with God in the title. And people, Christians mostly, they are jumping with glee because they are finally so excited that somebody's going to be speaking about their God. When in actual fact, by the time they've listened to what I'm actually saying, they'll discover that I'm not actually speaking about their God or their Jesus. I'm speaking about something which is a metaphysical manifestation, like an egregore or a tulpa or something like this, some imaginary being. God is an imaginary being. Jesus was an imaginary being, is an imaginary being. You see, look, if we just look at Jesus, Jesus is the classic tulpa, the classic invention of human psyche. Because what we do is, we create somebody, some human form, at the height of life and vitality, and within an age group which a certain amount of wisdom could have been gleaned. And so we create this image of someone who's fair and gentle and insightful and compassionate and all these sort of things. And what we do is then we go, look, if we're going to get anybody to bow down and worship this guy and follow him, then he can't be human. So we've got to create something over and above the human being, because we know all humans are flawed. So what do? We create God, the Son of God, the same thing basically. Jesus is God, came to express himself in human form, but is God and goes back to being God, made manifest as the perfect human being, the perfect age and all the rest of it, but not a human being, the Son of God or God. And so therefore then all human beings can in actual fact worship him, the image or the essence of him, because that thing that they're worshipping doesn't pertain to the human being. It's God. It's something in the image of a human being, only without all of our despicable failings. And so you see where we are with this. Don't you just think that that is just a tulpa? That's just an imaginary friend that we have created to look up to because we find ourselves so abhorrent. To a thinking person, that just seems exactly what's gone on. And I swear before the heavens above, that is what's gone on. We are so deeply rooted, disappointed with what we are as a species. We have to invent something which is larger than life and better than we can ever possibly be, and we just pray for connection with that. Because we can't find it within ourselves. But you see, even the people that created this egregore, they would have Jesus saying is that what I can do, you can do more. And, you know, look for the kingdom of God within you. It's all within you, and so all this sort of stuff. And so because of that, I look at it and I go, well, it sounds like a lot of sense. The kingdom of God is within me. All that he had supposedly done, I suppose in one shape or form I could do it. Even the walking on water, I could do it in the astral, I could do it in a dream, I could do it on a psychedelic trip or something like that. So it's all doable. But these people that take this all literally, they are very misguided, and you know, they're very unfortunate in that all they ever do and all they will ever amount to is a follower. Jesus didn't want followers, you see. That they missed the whole point of it. Jesus wanted to build other people up and say, you go and do it. Or what I've done, you can do more. You can do better. You go and tell everybody about it. Don't put me on a pedestal. You become it. How many became it? How many have, in actual fact, risen to the challenge? But when people do rise to the challenge, it's the nasty heinous human nature which wants to strike them back down again, which wants to stone them and crucify them and all the rest of that stuff. And so you see, we're in a real can of worms. We really are quite a compromising force, because even if we ever do have good thoughts, nobody will allow us to have them for too long before they will want to bring us down to their mundane level. It's the proverbial bucket of crabs. When one crab tries to get out, all the rest of them pull that one back down. If they were acting together, then all the crabs would stand on each other like a pyramid. They'd all help each other out, so there'd be no crabs in the bucket at the end of the day. But humanity and the nature of humans being such, that doesn't happen. All they want to do is bring everybody down, and even the tulpa that was created, we even managed to destroy that, kill that in the most heinous and excruciating of ways we could possibly imagine. Hello, mate. You want to come? Hey? You finally woke up. You know what time it is? It's 4:30. And now you finally decide you're going to get out of bed, huh? Well, I'm happy about that anyway, because he's in his new house, and it must be good because he stayed in it much longer than he has on other circumstances. Are you coming? Come on then. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Hey? Give me a kiss. You're beautiful. Is he beautiful? Well, you got your own house now. It's really good. And in a week or so, I'm going to try you out in the garden, because what he's doing these days, he's sniffing with great interest when I have the window just open a little bit. And so his natural instinct is kicking in, and he wants it. You want it, don't you? Hey, you're my boy. You are. You're my baby. And I love you, and I'm going to miss you. But I've got to do what's right for you. I've got to give you all the opportunity that you deserve. Yeah. Anyway, I can't hold my arm up like that. I've got to put me down. So, do you want to come up here? There. And so, because I move goalposts all the time, when people come onto the channel, if they see God in the title, then the next minute I'm talking about mushrooms, and then the next minute I'm talking about, you know, orphan squirrels, and the next minute I'm talking about something else and something else. People are like, no, I want you to feed me on what I came here for, and anything outside of that, I'm disappointed in you, and I'm angry. And so they start wanting to find fault with me, and then, you know, level something at me. And particularly, see, 90% of the people that have a problem with me are the dudes with Jesus in their handle. And it's simply because they cannot stand my handle on Jesus. Because I say, I'm self-proclaimed God. We're all God, aren't we, mate? We're all in the essence of the Creator. And anybody that's a silly follower is a weak, pathetic drone. But when you are God consciousness, you don't follow anybody. Like you, mate. You'll never follow anybody, will you? No, we won't follow anybody. We're our own man, aren't we? Yeah, you're your own squirrel. Yeah, good. You're getting animated now. You're getting all, ooh. Is he beautiful? He is. So, he can fly now anyway. He's a flying squirrel. So anyway, let me hone in now on the poignant part. So what I've done was shaking your cages, upsetting the apple cart, moving goals, and then what happens is people start to let out what I've always wanted them to say and engage with anyway. Because when I put all my videos up, beautiful videos, and I'm talking about the nature of the universe and God and my connection with God, and you can find it too and all this, oh goodness me, I barely get a single comment. But when I take away their nourishment, when I take away that which you've come to depend on, that's then when you start to talk. And so can't you see how the brilliant awakened brave has got you exactly where he wants you? And now in the comments, what are you doing? You're talking about me. Oh, congratulations. You know, it's a bit belated, but, you know, eventually you get there, you see. And it's kind of like, why does the Awakened Brave do this? Why does Aaron do that? And why is he saying this? And what is in Aaron's psyche? You know, for years I've invited you to come and, you know, exchange, you know, our thoughts about our psyches and this, that and the other. But you've never had the strength to do that. But you've always been complacent, but then when you see when things get taken away from you, then you start to get angry and you fight against it and you rebel against it. And so that's what's happening now. But what the main source of any comments says is that you know, trying to work out what it is that Aaron wants. And it seems that, you know, this moment in time, all his videos are talking about him. And I mentioned this in a video, and I said, well, exactly. I can't ever talk about you, can I? Because I don't know nothing about you. I don't know anything about any of you people. And so how could I talk about you? And I don't talk about other people. If you want to learn about other people, then go and read their books. It's simple. So I've got my channel, and I talk about my experience, which is ultimately me. Now, the bone of contention, which really has been the last straw for some of you guys, is that I've changed so much with my spiritual growth. I have grown immensely, and I've left you all far behind. And the things I'm speaking about, the things I'm writing about in my book, you've got little comprehension of. And you love the old version of the Awakened Brave, where I'll be speaking about drinking my own piss and, you know, all different sorts of diets and myth-busting this and myth-busting that, and then talking about things topical in the world, because you can have a little bit of a semblance of a unity with that, because your mundane thoughts lended you to that level of cognition. But with the supernatural, I lose you, don't I? And it's to be expected, because very few people are privileged enough to have supernatural encounters. And so then you all want me, just like my sister. You're doing exactly the same what my sister has always done. She's always wanted me to be this 20 or 25-year-old fun, you know, seeking brother that she grew up with. But now when she comes to see him, I'm a different person, and she can't comprehend who I am anymore. She's got no idea, because she's never been interested in all of my travels. She's never ever wanted to speak about what I've learned from any of these books that I read or videos that I watch. Not interested in that. She's only interested in me being who she wants me to be and who she thinks I was. And now I'm not that person. She's very angry. And so that's just like, you know, some of you. You're not prepared to grow. You're not prepared to watch me morph into something else, because you don't have a relationship with that. So you, just like the proverbial bucket of crabs, want to drag me back down. Of course, I am speaking about myself. I'm speaking about my experience, because as a philosopher, that's the only thing with any level of integrity that I can speak about. And so, because I have lots of very unusual experiences, and I'm well read, and I think about a lot of stuff, then it makes for good listening, or it used to. But now, when I'm out there, and it doesn't include you because you haven't been out there, you'll never be out there, then there's an issue with that, isn't there? And so one thing that you said, you're getting close to it now. Yes, I'm speaking about myself. It's more of a self-discovery. You got it. Eventually you've got it. I need to get there in the end. I'm on a self-discovery. I always have been on a self-discovery. It's just that along the journey, you could discover some of yourself whilst I was discovering myself. But now, because you're at a level and you can't exit your concentric circle, you can't come outside into mine. If you were outside in mine, mind, then you'd be with me and you'd be like, yeah, what's going to happen next, Aaron? But you're not. And so you can't see beyond the veil. And so it's frustrating to you because I'm no longer serving you. And, you know, I suppose ultimately I'll probably get the odd viewer here and there, and there's some who are starting to come through who are expressing how they are feeling, the journey they're on and the issues they're coming with. Yes, that's my bag. That's what I've always wanted. It's like on the psychoanalytical front, it's on the spiritual front, it's on the whole human cognition front, and it's nurturing and it's interesting and it serves me, whereas very little else serves me. And so even my closest of friends, they will send me videos these days which I don't have an interest in. And it's a little bit disappointing to them because, again, they are feeling, you know, ostracised or having their nose pushed out because I'm no longer interested in the things they're interested in. But they're not interested in the things I'm interested in. Is because in recent times I've gone up several notches on the ladder of ascension, and I don't know whether some of you will you know, follow in your own time. It's not something that you can bring about yourself. It just happens if it's going to happen. And so it happened to me, and so therefore I'm speaking in a different way. I've got different objectives, and I'm no longer one man's quest to whatever it was. You know what I started with? One man's quest for, you know, truth or something like this, in my gravest of naive times, if I ever did even think that there was any semblance of truth. I don't even think that was in the title. It was just one man's quest looking for some shit, something like that. It's still one man's quest, people. I've never been on this journey with anybody. We can't continue on this path of ascension with anybody because we all travel it in our own unique way at our own unique times. And so if I have a go at you guys, and the thing is, like, you know, when I do have a go, I mean, I've had a go in one video, and then I've made a video about that video which was much more toned down, and then kind of like the rhetoric with, you know, you guys on the subject is like oh, I don't know where it's going with this now, all his videos are about... No, they're not. No, a fraction of my videos are about like that. So you have to look at your own psychology as to why you think all my videos are about like that. In actual fact, all my videos are about him, to be fair. Most of my videos aren't they, mate? Hey? Yeah, because you're beautiful. You're more clever than 95% of these people watching you. That is for sure. You are smart as. Ah, little Joy, isn't he? He likes to wrestle and he likes to play. He's so beautiful, and I'm going to miss him, and that's why I hope he makes a home just outside my door so he can come and play with me whenever he wants to. Yeah, and I think he will. I think he will. Yeah. So what else do I have to say on this then? I don't think a lot really. Most of the viewers, they've just, like, you know, faded away into the backgrounds, which always happens. There's only ever a couple of people that, you know, come for the fight, and then the fight is not really a fight. It's just a little bit of a skirmish, and then the people that come reluctantly for a fight, they end up running away, you know, mid-battle, because they've come ill-equipped. They realise how out of the depth they actually are. And, you know, when I go into battle, I've got all the armaments. I've got the whole thing going on, and I can bring out about whatever to deploy. But it's not my intention to destroy or to cripple anybody. I mean, all my tools, they're kind of like their knowledge and their wisdom, and they're my articulation, and they're my quick thinking, and all these sort of things. These are the tools I've come with. What have you come with? What do you bring to the party? You bring something about Jesus is Lord. That ain't going to cut it with me, because it's so limited, isn't it? Read my book, and then you'll see, you know, a good rational explanation which just destroys that Jesus was ever a thing. It's just a figment of consciousness, just like everything else. And I've met too many of you people in recent times. It's just a joke. The insecurity and the failings of these people clutching on for Jesus. Jesus has helped me, and Jesus is going to do this, and Jesus, oh, fuck me, what Jesus is not going to do. But then when you look at them, you can't see any evidence of Jesus doing anything. They're just the same old sad fox as they ever were. Only they're in a state of fucking delusion. Wow. And this is the thing about these people, and that's why every now and again I've just got to tell it the way it is. I've just got to go to all these Bible bashing Jesus freaks. Listen, whatever you've come onto this channel for, unless it's philosophy and psychoanalysis, you're on the wrong fucking channel. And so please just exit right now. And even when I made these videos about my connection with Jesus and God and this, that and the other, the things that I experienced, well, none of you had anything to say. All you Bible bashers, you never had nothing to say, did you? Vacuous. So what exactly is your relationship with Jesus? It's nothing like mine. I mean, he actually comes and speaks to me. And he sends angels, and God speaks to me. That's how important I am. And that's what you can't get, can you? And, you know, what stories have you got to tell about your Jesus? I tell you what, it's not your Jesus, he's mine. He's my fucking Jesus. Isn't he? Absolutely, absolutely he is. So, for goodness sake, people, you know, gather your resources and, you know, put something together, and then come back, you know, when you're more equipped for the job. Because otherwise all you do is just embarrass yourselves. And any of you that says, oh, it's already deleting comments, I'm not deleting no comments. Even my comments get deleted, you know, for some unfathomable reason. But what I always do is, if I've got somebody that's got a problem with me, then I engage with them, and I engage with them on a rational, respectful level. And I say, well, look, okay, what's your issue? And if it's something other than you're a narcissist, all your viewers are idiots, and you've got nothing to say, then I'm like, well, I seem to remember that you've been viewing my videos for about 5 years. It took you 5 years to work out that I've got nothing to say? I think there's probably something else, you know, that's the bee in your bonnet. What is that? You know, is it because I've mentioned some of your failings in recent times and you took it personally? I've mentioned failings of the human being. I've always done that. I've always done that, people. And so sometimes people, you know, if they're not being served, if you feel that I'm not giving you what you need, then, you know, it's time to move on then, isn't it? But some of you see, you've just got this thing whereby you was fed something which really touched you on one occasion, and you keep hanging on, hoping that, you know, you're going to get that again. Whether you will or not, I don't know. But all I can say is it's your choice whether you want to hang around or not. But no comments are getting deleted, save for the ones that are just pure poison and heinous and just don't have any content. Every single one of my so-called adversaries, I will always offer them the opportunity to come and do a public Zoom. And I've done this with 2 of you now. So if you're man enough, then you'll take that. If not, please just save your own face and just go away. Because, you know, there's no future in your, you know, insecure little tic-tacklings around. You know, if you've got something to say, say it. I mean, I'm all up for it. If you've got something to say about my personality or my failings, I'm all ears for it. That's why I give you the opportunity. I give you the opportunity so you can wake you up and so you can start saying something about me. Because, you know, it's great. What a great subject. Speaking about the awake and brave. Yeah, I could do that all day long. You know, and if you've got anything to say, and if you've got any videos of your own, and if you've got any books that you've wrote, then we could talk about you one day. But the chances are you haven't, and so, oh dear, it's back to me again, isn't it? But I make all these videos because sometimes I'm kind of like, well, it's a bit boring being God, to be fair. I mean, as much as I say I've never been bored and I've never been lonely, it's kind of like, I think, God as an entity, he wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and he did create an imperfect world. And so I've created maybe an imperfect world. Maybe it's just that I've not woken up to the true extent of it. But to engage with intellectuals, all the intellectuals that I see, they've become intellectual because they've created a book, and then the book has got into the realm where other people in that vicinity or in them circles read the book. I don't know how it is that you actually get into that, whether it's like in the old days with the hit parade. The record companies used to buy the first 1 million copies or something to send it up into the top 10, and then the idiots would do the rest, but left to their own devices, the idiots wouldn't recognise such a great song and never even make the top 100. So the companies themselves had to give it a helping hand. And I think that goes on also in literature. I think that if you have a name that is potentially sellable, then that will end up in the top 10 of the New York Times bestsellers. If nobody's ever heard of you, it doesn't matter how great your book is, it won't even meet the top 100. And so I think that's how it is, people. You got to pay to play, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting for me when I ultimately publish my book to see if I can get any intellectual feedback, if I can, get some appraisal on what I've wrote and how I think and how I've concluded and my particular life. It's an experience and it's all true. As far as I'm concerned, all these so-called apparitions or spiritual experiences, they're all absolutely true as I'm standing here now. And so that's my story. So that's why I'm speaking about me, because there's nobody else which is remotely interesting as far as I can see, except maybe Jordan Peterson in current times. He's flavour of the month. He's out there. He's got a bit of fight. He fucks and cusses, in the appropriate arena, and he's not shy about, calling most people idiots. And I'm like, yeah, you're speaking from my camp. I'm in your camp, dude. And then when I read his book here, he's absolutely aware of why people just won't ever get it together, because it just takes a lifetime, and you need to begin. Even to begin, you have to be blessed with the appropriate level of intelligence. And so if you're not blessed with the appropriate level of intelligence via your genetics, then you ain't never going to be working this thing out. And that's where most people are. They don't have any thoughts in here. They can't work things out. They don't think about this and that. They're just automaton. And I don't know how many of you are automaton, but I'm guessing quite a number. And so I shouldn't really be expecting anything else. But then some of you go, what does he want? What is he expecting? And I've told you, I've come to find the others. That's what I've been doing all these years. I've come to find the others. And I've found a few in these years. Not too many, but the ones which could stay the test of time, I'm still in communication with. But the ones that couldn't maintain their continuous growth, well, they've fallen by the wayside. Some people met me at a certain plateau, and we got along whilst I was at that plateau. But then I just keep stepping up and up and up, and most just they can't or don't want to. Some people they have been intellectual and they have been philosophical, but they are grasping too much at the matrix, and they need partners, and they need to have some sort of a vocation, and they need to be involved in this money because they want to think that they're going to do this and money's going to get them to do that. And you know, to do what I'm doing, just to come into my cave, they couldn't do it. They'd go absolutely crazy. And I know people that have actually, you know, was on the precipice of throwing themselves off cliffs because of the rejection from society, because the world wouldn't be what they wanted it to be. And this is how bizarre lots of people are. And so in this book, it's kind of like, well, the world ain't never going to be what you want it to be. And as you travel through the vicissitudes of life, the ever-changing and compromising circumstances, you've just got to ride the wave. And you really should have very little expectations about anybody or anything. Because if you do, then most things are going to be disappointing to you. It's like if you build a holiday, you build it or you build it or you build it or because you hate your work so much and you hate your life and you live for the holiday, and then because you built the holiday up so much, it just doesn't live up to your expectations. It's kind of like, well, what did you want? You were at the beach, you got the beer, the girls on the beach and all that. What did you want? You was building up some sort of fantasy, and the fantasy never made manifest. And so, you know, I suppose we're all in that boat to some degree. And, you know, I'm in a particular boat whereby I'm out on the ocean, I'm bobbing up in my boat, and I'm like, ahoy there! Ahoy there! And I'm just kind of like, you know, a voice in the wilderness. Is there anybody else there? Is anybody else like a castaway? Is anybody else like marooned on the ocean? You know, because I'm marooned in here, aren't I, evidently? And if any of you don't think that, you know, I am, then why don't you come and join me then? Come and join me in a Zoom chat. Come and speak about, you know, how you're so similar to me. And I'll go, wow, how come you never responded to my ahoy there, or my smoke signals from the beach? How come it took you so long? What's going on? What sort of level of insecurity did you have over all these years? I mean, at the end of the day, people write to me and go, oh, I'm so glad I found you. You know, I thought I was the only one out here. Well, you know, there's a few of us. But then when you've actually found one, then you're still scared of making contact. Scared of what? This is the thing. Scared of what? You know, I don't know. I can't get my head around this level and comprehension of fear. I've had fear right up there. But fear for me is something, when you're presented with something, like being in battle, well, you deal with it then. And then when it's over, you're over the fear. But most people, they perpetuate the fear. And Robert Sapolsky, he's a psychologist, and he wrote a book, and it's something like Why Zebras Don't Have Heart Attacks. Something along the lines like that, because zebras, whenever there is something to be afraid of, they're afraid of it presently. Like hyenas, lions, whatever. Their fight or flight kicks in, they bolt, but 2 minutes after the threat's gone, they're back to grazing again. And so that's why they'll never have a heart attack. That's why they'll never be filled with anxiety. Because nature has worked out that on the African plains, when threat is around every single corner, you'd be a nervous wreck if you was always panicking about it. And that's how the human being's gone. As crazy as it sounds, as intelligent as the human being is supposed to be, we are apparently less intelligent than zebras. Because zebras can turn that off. They can turn the cortisol off. They can turn the anxiety off. They can turn the constant threat of danger off, and they live their lives. Whereas human beings, they're constantly just dripping the cortisol through their veins, and they're scared day and night, and I'm sorry for all you guys which suffer from that. I know it's a bit of a pandemic. It's very contagious and it seems to be spreading like wildfire, but for those of you that are not subject to it, way to go, because you're one in a million. Anyway, Diz, I've said my thing. But you know, like I say, out of all the viewers, then there's only 2 people that have engaged in like, he's this and he's that, and so it's kind of like, you know, it's nothing really, is it? You know, so I guess it's just back to the drawing board again. Doesn't matter what I do, can't really get any engagement. You know, I can do the greatest of philosophical discourses and can't manage to conjure up anybody with any input. Nobody's got any stories to share or anything like that. Just drones mostly. It is bizarre. It's a very bizarre thing.